box. That stinks.
Yeah, that's that steam shit.
Yeah, we got some
Steamed rat feces.
Steamed rat tattooey, Charles, coming from the subway.
Man, it's a treat to be here in the center of Manhattan.
It's back.
Well, we have only a limited number of shopping days until Hanukkah and more for Christmas to load up on this fake junk that is being
There's
sold.
more than ever.
You know, I wonder if they have a points program.
Loyalty program
Yeah.
for the stolen wares.
And what do you do if you want it? Like you take it home and there's a problem with it. And what do you bring it back here and you say, "Hey, guy from Senegal, could you fix my stuff up?"
Oh, they have an excellent customer service
I'm
policy.
sure they do.
You'll never see the guy again.
And I wonder where the wrapping department is.
Right. I was just down the street, that
Exactly.
guy with his kid playing the boombox.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
wrapping department.
Look at this, Jason. Pizza, which used to be 99 cents to $1, now it's $1.50, but there's no inflation.
Where is that?
Guy with a
Oh
sign.
yeah, I know. I've been seeing those Two Bros pizzas around the city have universally raised from $1 to $1.50. That's quite a huge increase, Charles.
It would be 50%, Jason. But
Yeah.
that's a little bit more than, what is it, 4.7% or 5.7 on Social Security?
Uh-huh. So Charles, today we are talking about the Crackhead Princess Diaries.
That is just, I mean, an epic poster, and
Thank you.
really well done. And it can only best be appreciated in a wide screen. I would tend to look at it on my phone, but I'll try to look at it later on a wider screen.
Oh, that's good.
And little trivia with that one.
Yeah.
The kingdom in that is called the Kingdom of Genovia. And
Princess Diaries.
right, in the real movie. And the castle that is used in that movie is something called Longford Castle.
Uh-huh.
Longford Castle is owned by the Earl of Radnor, who's related to Clarissa's brother's wife. So because of that, we got a chance. I think I've told you this story a while back. I don't know if we ever discussed it on here. But we were invited, Clarissa and I, and a small number of people, including the furniture maker, Viscount Lindley, and a number of very fancy English people, for dinner on Servants' Night Off, the only night of the year.
So what was it like, do-it-yourself salad bar?
Well, it was hilarious. So we get there. No, it wasn't. We get there, and the Earl greets us.
Something's closed off here, Charles.
Well, it's a marathon.
All right.
So, and this is probably need medical attention. So, the castle, you can look it up, Longford. It's on Wikipedia, and they describe it, and they discuss the fact that Princess Diaries was filmed there, parts of it. And but when I went, it's in the center. It's in the town of Salisbury, which you may have been to in England. I think it's in Salisbury where one of those
They make the
spies.
steaks.
Well, one of the spies.
Oh yeah, Skripal.
Right.
And his daughter got poisoned
So
there.
normally, Salisbury is a very, very old town. It originally, I think, was called Sarum. I mean, it dates back to many centuries, if not millennia. And so this castle
Texting, of course.
is interesting because it has well over 10,000 acres
Holy cow.
associated with it, and the entire perimeter that isn't on the water or whatever, there's a river through there, is it's got a very high wall, stone wall around it.
They could have also made the movie A River Runs Through It.
Yeah. Runs through it, I dare say, it would have to be the version. But anyway, and so this guy is very fortunate, the Earl, his family is fortunate that they didn't blow their money. So not only do they have a tremendous fortune away from the real estate, they have one of the most amazing art collections that I've ever seen. Better, I would argue.
Ben Hunter?
Well, so there is no Hunter Biden hanging in there. So to give you a sense, I walk in to the front door, and there's Jake, he went by Jake, but he was the Earl of Radnor, and he was probably 30 years older than I was.
Uh-huh.
And he says, come on in. Just wait here for a second. Come on in. And we go into this big room. It's a round receiving parlor, and there are all these paintings on the wall. And I know a little bit about art, and I say, oh, shit, that's Erasmus by Thomas Holbein. I mean, that's a serious painting.
This is where we keep all the crappy art, Charles.
Well, that was, I thought to myself, this guy is cultured, and, why would he have an obvious copy?
Oh.
But it's not a copy, it's And then, he was very nice to us, and he said, well, I generally don't do this, but you're from America, you've come a long way, let's take a look at some of my art. So we go through, and so this is my Impressionist ballroom, filled with
different themes.
Well, yeah, Rembrandt room. Here's my Michelangelo room. Here's the Reynolds room. Here's the
all the tinfoil in the Reynolds.
No, the famous portrait painter Reynolds. And what made it really special is that Reynolds and the other one, is it Gainsborough? I think Reynolds and Gainsborough painted his family. These are original, paintings of his ancestors by these famous, all in one gigantic castle. And then he says, well, I want to show you something. He goes into his study, and he rummages around his desk, and he takes out a letter. He says, look who signed this letter. It's George Washington.
Wow.
And then he says, look how he addressed my ancestor, Your Highness, or something like
that.
This is after Washington was president.
Why wouldn't he just call them Your Defeatedness?
Jake. But
that is way better than anything Hunter Biden has painted.
Better
Very
than
nice.
Biden. You're building back better than Biden. You should sell it for $500,000. That's
and
actually
look, there's
not
another
bad.
one of the cows.
That's
We
a
saw
horse and
that.
ass. Oh,
The display here,
yeah.
Chanel.
Do you think it's about perfume? Or just a distinctive number 5? Let me just finish the story because I don't want to lose the train of it. Quite all right. So he shows us that, and then we go out of his study, which is relatively small, walking along a hallway, and I see this thing that, it's up as high as Cole Haan there, probably the width of this window, and it's all the way out to here, and it's a gigantic chair. And I said, what's that? He said, oh, that's the Habsburg's throne in platinum.
It's a chair.
Well, it was,
Hey, what's this chair?
it was just covered with like a drop cloth. I mean,
Wow.
it was like, yeah, I got that one too. But
Yeah.
I mean, guys
Most
like
people have like a 68 Camaro covered with a drop cloth. This guy's got the throne.
But then then he's constantly saying, I'm so sorry for the inconveniences. You're going to have to work. We won't be able to serve you. And so all the servants were there. They just didn't work that day. They stood behind us.
What's a union thing?
I don't think so. And they had the chafing dishes out, and all we had to do was to go to the hot chafing dishes and use, ladles and spoons or whatever to take first soup and then whatever out. We didn't have to, clean it. We didn't have to take it away. The servants took it away, but it was their night off. And
Chafing dishes really chap my ass, Charles.
Really nice guy though, and good family.
That was a chafing joke.
I got it.
Well, so it's a good thing they didn't blow the money, Charles, but I don't think I realized until I made this graphic that Ashley Biden, did you know that 5 members of the Biden family have been through drug rehab?
Well, look, that's very difficult stuff.
I agree.
And it's actually extremely hard to break out of that. Once you get addicted, particularly to crack. Back in the day, when he was addicted, to shake that off and become a productive member of society, you got to have a crooked father who becomes president.
Well, that's what I was
and
going to
uses
say.
the FBI to protect you.
I'm not denying the difficulty of it, nor am I casting aspersions on families that are plagued by the blight of drug addiction.
And
I've known families that have had that problem, and it's a big problem. But when there's 5 members of the family that are doing it, I think you need to focus some attention on your family and maybe take it away from your own career and driving them into these situations where they might relapse into some of these very serious problems. But the real focus of today's show, of course, is why on earth, let's presume the allegations are true. Let's accept this facially plausible claim as true and assume that the diary was stolen, even if James O'Keefe stole it, which we have no evidence that he has.
Right.
Why would the FBI be investigating petty larceny?
Well, it's part and parcel of the Merrick Garland we're going to put you on a domestic terror list
Right.
if you challenge a school board meeting, if you challenge authority. And what people need to understand, we're too governed by the social media and corporate-owned media titans who've now decided there's only one correct answer for everything, one size fits all.
Not allowed to question.
And that is the complete opposite of what motivated Thomas Jefferson to first draft the Virginia Statute on Religious Freedom, and then later for the framers to insert the Bill of Rights in. The idea was that the speech that needs to be protected is the speech that is most obnoxious. That's the speech.
So that's that guy,
Right.
most obnoxious.
Well, you need to you need to encourage people to express their views. Honestly, obviously you don't want them to walk in the middle of a wedding, as these people did recently, to give a hard time to Christian cinema. But in a forum where speakers are talking or a debate, you want to give people a chance to express their opinions, as stupid as they may be. I mean, how else can you defend Hillary Clinton's long career in politics?
Right.
Everything
First Amendment stupidity.
Everything she says is absurd.
Okay, so we're
Not to
approaching.
mention Joe Biden's comments. I
Yeah.
mean, let's think about Joe Biden's comments in the last several days. Confronted, coming back from Cop Out 26, which didn't work so well for anybody. Even goofballs for Greta Thunberg is out there dissing the conference, saying,
Really?
Yeah, she's sharply criticized it. It's all hot air, doesn't mean anything.
Wow.
Coming
What does
back
that
from
girl
that,
hope to achieve?
he gets, and she's 18, by the way, so she's got
Oh, so
a
she's
lot,
fair game.
many days of experience. So
Fair game
Fresh-
for being made fun of.
fresh off that, the text of the bill had circulated, one of these bills, and the reconciliation bill, and Peter Ducey, I think,
Oh yeah.
says, why are we giving $450,000 to criminals? People who are
Right.
coming. And Joe said, that's garbage. That's never going to happen. That's the first response.
Yeah.
And I actually think that Ducey is I kind of like his wry smile and his approach. He's a kind of a debater who can put a knife into your belly button, you won't feel it, and your guts are spilling out, and you still think he's a nice guy. But he's very effective. So first he says that, then the White House tries to walk it back. Then Joe says, well, actually, these people have been harmed and whatever. And then most recently, he goes ballistic on, I don't know if it was Ducey or some other reporter, he starts yelling to say, these people, they've been separated, they've been harmed, it's been harmed. Dude, you're the President of the United States. What you said 3 or 4 days ago is inoperative. Okay, why should we give a shit? Let's not have press conferences involving you. Right? I mean, just
Well,
go
they had
back.
the assistant press
She's
secretary.
dumber than a
'cause
potted plant.
Jen Psaki apparently has COVID, so they had the assistant press secretary who's way more professional and less
I don't think so.
acerbic.
Jen
Well-
Psaki is fully vaccinated but got COVID, which is, of course, impossible. I hope she's going to explain that to us.
She's contradicting the WHO. She should be blocked from YouTube. But the point is, this other lady who was talking to Peter Ducey, well, I forgot what I was going to tell you about her. But
she has this demeanor, as does Jen Psaki, as do all these people on Rachel Madcow and others. They treat you, when you ask them a reasonable question,
like, you're stupid.
like you just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I really shouldn't be wasting my time even answering to this question because you're so obviously out of it. And then I'm not going to answer your question and tell you I already answered it.
I remember the point, because we're very close to Trump Tower right now. I forget the woman's name, but the assistant press secretary said that the reason was because we had such a dysfunctional and cruel policy from the previous administration that it's Trump's fault that everybody's getting $450,000.
You mean those people who were in cages under Obama and Biden? Those people?
I think those are the ones.
Yeah, okay.
But that was her point.
Yeah, I don't think, you don't, in my world, or in the world I want to share, you don't get to do that. You don't get to say something that's just absolutely wrong from a position of authority and then just triple down, quadruple down on the lie. Knowing that 30% of the country doesn't give a shit. 30% is going to agree with you no matter what. So you've
Right.
got 60 out of the 100
Right.
public opinion. And then you've got people like the dearly departed Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and others fulminating turning people off. So they know they can get away with it. I mean, it's not like if we were having a debate, for example, about baseball's decision to punish the Braves and deny Atlanta the ability to have
Playoffs or whatever?
the All-Star game.
All-Star game.
And the irony that the Braves turn out to win the World Series.
That's pretty
You'd have,
funny.
I mean, ESPN and NBC and Fox Sports and all, they'll talk about that for days, but not this, Or they'll talk about who's going to win the stupid football game tonight, so-and-so, or who had a good day or a bad day. That they'll talk about, but not the American empire falling apart.
Well, so then Joe Biden got pissed off apparently and said that they are going to give that money.
Well,
how does that do anything other than encourage people to come here? I mean, frankly, it makes me want to go to Mexico and sneak into the country. $450,000.
more than once.
I know, that's a lot.
I'm not Jason Goodman, I'm his...
And I'll be like, where's my family, damn it? Pay me.
I'm one of 6 Jason Goodmans. We're identical.
I'm one of
Sextuplets.
960 on Facebook.
That's true.
So
That's
where
true.
are all those other ones?
I think you should get a bus full of Jason Goodmans.
Yeah.
Hop
This
on a
has got to
bus.
be worth a couple of million.
Look how close we can get to Trump Tower now.
Well, you're allowed in. It's a public thing.
Yeah, that's true.
You could go have ice cream and a taco bowl
Go to
if
the
you
Trump
want.
Grill, the Trump Cafe, the Trump
It's actually
Store.
good food there,
Is there? I had a glass of
but it's a
wine
lot of money,
once.
as you might guess.
Yeah.
Now, Charles, the other thing that we were going to bring up is, James O'Keefe from the FBI. And
Sure. To me, the situation is apparently there is a diary. I think a guy called Patrick Howley
Right.
published it a year ago before the election. It's handwritten, so it's very in young woman scrawl, so it's tough to read.
Yeah,
And
found that.
I just couldn't get it motivated.
Well, it's also young woman crackhead scroll, so
Right,
it might
and-
not make sense.
Right, and again, when I know, we won't give his name, but I know one son of a president, and I spent a fair amount of time with that person, and he was, years after the fact, very resentful that his father wasn't around for his upbringing. And he would act out to get the attention of his father,
Oh.
which is a common behavior. And that's in essence what's happening. And I got to believe that a 30-year-old widower, which he was, and senator, in Studio 54 era with cocaine everywhere,
Oh, right.
it was going to be out partying till the cows came home.
Damn it. I meant to screen capture this for you. Daily Mail published in 2000, maybe 17 or 18, allegedly a text message from Joe to Ashley saying, this is a disease from mommy and me.
Oh boy, yeah.
Addiction he's talking about.
Well, which could explain why Joe doesn't drink, if he in theory doesn't drink.
And then the article said he's a teetotaler.
Yeah. He just does crack cocaine
Yeah.
and sniffs little girls.
Or maybe did at some point.
Oh, I'm sure he must have.
And maybe that's what he's doing when he's sniffing the little girls. He's like, any
crack?
cocaine in there? Nope. Give me another one.
But the fact, what we have had quite a journey together so far, trying to expose stuff before the mainstream corporate-owned media gets to it. And I think on this story, not Biden particularly, but on the Russian collusion delusion and on the manipulation of public opinion, we've been way ahead of the pack. But now I think people are coming back and saying, wait a minute, the mainstream press, it's not that they got it wrong. They conspired to deceive the world. And they
That's
have
happening all the time.
continuing to cover it up. And that's journalistic malpractice. It's deception. In certain cases, it could be you're promoting a lie. And if you're raising money for charities that are named after the people who are doing the lying, that's when you start getting into more serious trouble if we had a real Justice Department.
Right.
It actually worked.
Oh, now wait a minute. This looks like some
So
marathon-related activity.
Yeah, I
what
think-
should we do?
well,
Let's go over there and
let's
look at
check it out. Wow.
Whoa!
Let's go that way. Yeah. I think it all dumps
So
out.
did you just run the marathon?
Yeah, I ran it like an hour ago. Yeah.
How'd you do? Congratulations.
25, that was my time.
It's pretty good.
But you look like you're cold right now.
I'm very cold.
Yeah, get
I gotta
inside.
get home.
Yeah, take care.
Congrats.
So there you go, Charles. Major achievement by that guy running the marathon. I don't think I could do it. I couldn't do it.
I don't think I could drive a marathon.
Yeah, it's right. I don't have time. But
And it's really this to train for it. I mean, it's not like you wake up one day and say, I think I'll run the marathon.
Right.
You've got to start running and running.
Yeah.
You've got to qualify, I think.
yeah, I don't
You
think
want to
it's
be at the
my
highest
thing.
level.
They don't let you ride a bike, huh?
Ask Rosie Ruiz about that. Hillary Clinton, she ran the marathon.
No, yeah.
Not so Mighty Duck edition. No
Hillary
way.
Clinton.
No way. So this is quite an iconic street corner here. We've got the Sherry Netherland to our right. We've got the base of Central Park here. We've got the what's left of the Plaza Hotel. Trump going part of that.
Somebody there just
Trump, didn't he own
hitting me with their.
a little kid? It's my
Yeah.
grandmother taking the kid out to hit you. That's a flag, Irish flag, over there. I don't know what that's
Where is that?
Up there. Past the statue. But if we go, I think these are just people carousing at the end of the.
Well, let's carouse.
Check it out.
So they've got the sanitation trucks here so that people can't smash through with some sort of threat. So at least the sanitation department is doing something when they're not cleaning up the garbage.
Holy shit! Is this filled with dog poop?
Probably.
What kind?
You know, one thing I've
What's
been
this?
observing, Charles. A
Oh,
lot
they're
of
still
the-
running.
Oh. Oh yeah. And screaming and everything.
Wow. So where's the finishing? I think the finishing's up there.
So what's all this?
I think they have to circle back around the park. Where's? Do you know where the finish line is?
We're walking towards it now.
Is it that way? In
Inside the park.
Okay, thank you.
It's bringing donuts for the winner.
Oh,
We had Krispy
let's
Kreme
let's
donuts.
go
Oh,
around.
look, they're running there, Charles. There's the marathoners.
You want to jump in there, Jason?
Nah.
Follow Rosie Ruiz?
That's pretty cool. Little NYC marathon on Crowdsource the Truth.
Yeah, in past days, the finish line was up on Fifth Avenue there, but they may reroute it.
I'm glad they're not making these people wear masks.
I nearly called you to cancel, because I was going to do this but,
Right.
backwards, running backwards.
I have no doubt. Well, there you go, Charles. That's
You gotta
very
be
comprehensive marathon coverage.
You got to be pretty
It's the
well.
first time I've seen cops not texting
Give it a minute.
in a long time.
Which way do you want to go? Do you want to go west or do you want to go north?
Well, whatever you want to do.
I'm easy.
Let's just, I guess, head up here. Look, this guy's a Rothschild. He's got a
Where?
unicorn balloon.
State Parks running series. New York or nowhere. Yeah.
That guy's a cop.
He's ordering an
He's talking to
empanada.
his cell phone, not a police radio.
He's ordering
So,
an
I mean,
empanada.
again, we got a lot of personal business being taken care of by the police
Well,
while they're on duty.
that's common. I see, in the old days, I'd see these groups of, I think, traffic cops from India or Bangladesh or somewhere, and they'd be on their phone yelling and screaming and trading carpets or whatever they were doing. Well, they're at McDonald's, not doing anything.
I see a lot of them walking around with bags of McDonald's. They love McDonald's. So let's just take a look here. It's a lot of people have come out to enjoy the marathon. Do you guys have a person running in the race?
We do.
And did they win?
She's on her way through. She's in the Bronx right now.
Excellent.
Where's the finish line?
Congratulations.
Down and around the corner. So
Okay, thank
once they hit this corner, it should be like mile 26 bound.
And have you guys traveled from someplace far away to be here for the marathon today?
Seattle.
I could kind of tell you weren't from New York, your accent. How is Seattle compared to New York?
you. Anything left?
Yeah.
Anything left in Seattle? With the chop and all that?
Nicer here.
Yeah.
Is it really? Well, that's a pity.
A lot more people here.
Well, enjoy the city. And
you.
good luck with the marathon. Take
Good
care.
luck.
That was nice of them to speak to us. I didn't want to cross over into them
Sure.
getting pissed off. But we should have said, let's go Brandon. Oh, anybody here rooting for anyone named Brandon? Let's go, Brandon.
There's got to be a Brandon in the race.
Yeah, we should see if somebody has a sign rooting for Brandon.
Yeah. Apparently, there was a real scandal last night at the Alabama LSU game.
What happened?
Which was, I just happened to be flicking channels, and I got to it. They turned the crowd noise down so that that they wouldn't be broadcasting, let's go Brandon or F Joe Biden.
That's
pretty
so funny.
Well, I don't know if we should go.
Let's stay west, because if we try to cross this,
Say
it's
east,
going to be
you
a
mean?
mess. I mean east, yeah.
Okay, Christopher Columbus.
Sorry. I mean, listen, without a GPS saying, make a right, I'd get lost in my apartment, Charles.
They should really have an angry GPS.
Oh my God, this looks like the best place to have your meal, off the seat of the garbage truck. That's why they call it the sanitation department.
Let's get past it. Yeah.
So if they called it the defecation department, that'd be more accurate.
Unsanitary.
Unbelievable, Charles.
That's right. Yeah. I like my chicken with a fresh taste of ass.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's, seasoned to taste.
Fresh juice. Do you think this juice is actually fresh?
This is the ice cream truck. I guess it's juice. I don't know. It's juice and ice cream.
Here we have.
It's whatever.
So this is
tickles your
certainly
fancy.
busier, and we see what happens. Bill Gates and his idiot ex-wife Melinda,
That's their favorite hotel.
Is it really?
Well, I don't know, but that's where they did Event 201.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm glad let's go here for a second and talk about this.
Okay.
So we're going to only talk here negatively for a bit. Then we're going to talk exclusively quite positively after this. But there is a very dangerous person who is now the Deputy Attorney General. And her name is Lisa Monaco. You can look her up on Wikipedia. I did. And what you'll discover is that this person is 53 years old.
Pretty young.
Reasonably young. She graduated from Harvard. I won't hold that against her. And then she went to University of Chicago Law School and had, I would guess, a rather undistinguished career, because when you're on that track, what you want to do is you want to go from, you're going to pay up for Harvard and University of Chicago. I don't think she's from a wealthy family. She probably had student loans. You want to get a job the way Michelle did at one of these really fancy law firms, Crowdsource War here in New York or something like that.
Wasn't Michelle at University of Chicago?
She had some position, I'm not sure what exactly. It's probably
Dean of students?
do-nothing job, probably, as a guess. Kind of like Obama's. And and for that matter, W's. So anyway, I want to stay here because the story has to do, don't want to finish this.
Got it.
So Lisa Monaco goes to the University of Chicago, graduates. Instead of getting a job with a prestigious law firm, she works for the American Bar Association. And then she manages, with like a year's worth of experience, to become counsel to Janet Reno, who was then the deeply flawed Attorney General under Bill Clinton in the second term, precisely in the period where Clinton and the team were doing everything they could to stop the scandals that were festering there. The real story, the things that really mattered. For example, Reno had turned down a real investigation recommended by Free into how the Clintons and others, and the Gores and others, were accessing foreign money and potentially selling out to the Chinese and other foreign interests. She stops that at special counsel. She messes around, Janet Reno. She makes bad decisions that impede the Whitewater and Madison investigations and other investigations. And this young, impressionable woman...
You forgot one thing. Wasn't she in charge of blowing up Branch Davidian, what's his name?
I think that's right. And so this young person, but she goes in there 98 to 2001, Lisa Monaco. Then she follows that distinguished service up. Somehow they don't notice that she's a Clinton ally, and W. Bush allows this woman to go on the Enron task force. Thank you. With Weissman.
That guy said nice hat?
He may
He must know what it means.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So they then put this woman on the Enron task force, which, if you remember, destroyed a few lives and didn't actually find the true Enron scandal. And she was on there with Ray, and with a whole bunch of other people. She wins a number of awards for this great job.
Mueller.
And then, from that job, she becomes Deputy Chief of Staff to Mueller. And then from that job,
What years was she in that position?
like 5 on onwards,
2005.
roughly 2005. It's
I
on.
think she might know somebody I know.
All right, well, let's keep. I want to keep going because it actually ends here at the Pierre. She then works in the Obama White House. She has some time off, I think, in a law firm. She comes back to the Obama White House. She's over top of the division within the Department of Justice that is supposed to enforce the Foreign Agents Registration Act, an act that was not enforced against Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton, but was. I checked this guy, Tom Barrack.
The Trump fundraiser
the guy who was in charge of the Trump inaugural committee.
He gets charged.
He has to post a $250 million bond.
$250 million bond?
Bond to get
So does that mean that the bail is $2 billion?
I don't know.
No. That means the bond is $250 million, but he needs $2.5 million to pay it.
Whatever. It's $250
That's a
million.
huge.
Right. And in the case of Terry McAuliffe, he writes a book published January 23rd, 2007 in hardback that brags about all his, I read it, to brag about all his FARA violations, just at the time that Lisa Monaco later is there. Then she gets promoted from that position to be Homeland Security chief.
Wow.
Right? And she goes from that.
But she's a lawyer. What does she know about security?
She has no real experience.
Shouldn't that be a law enforcement person?
Exactly. This is a person with no real private sector experience to speak
military.
of. And now she goes from that. Her final posting is to plan a conference. I think they're planning for pandemics.
That's the event 201.
She planned it.
Wow.
And she's involved planning it, and she's the deputy attorney general.
Oh my God.
Right? So
right
that's
now
pretty,
she
right,
is.
yeah. So
under Garland.
So this fits the formula that we've seen in many other guises. You take young people who are underqualified for these mammoth
let's
positions.
go into the park.
Sure. These mammoth positions, and they never complain, and they'll do exactly what their big bosses tell them to do because they realize that they shouldn't have the job in the first place. And this is, I think, the pattern that you saw with Bill Clinton.
Absolutely.
Bill Clinton, his first job as Attorney General, by all accounts, he was a disaster. He was worse as a governor. He only lasted one term at first. He did such a horrible job. And then scandal after scandal in Arkansas, scandal after scandal as president and post-president. And you just see this with Doug Bann. This book by, let's let these people go. This book,
Taylor Branch?
No, the book by Terry McAuliffe is hilarious. I mean, this is
not supposed to be.
He writes it with a sense of humor. He give you. I already discussed the one thing about the John F. Kennedy vignette, right? Fundraising thing.
Oh, where he thought that Paul Simon was.
No. Maybe I haven't discussed this. So he writes in this book. He says that he goes to his first job interview, which was the lead was provided by Tom Donilon, somebody he knows who's a national security jerk under Obama. That's really go right on to You Got No Talent. You'll win that contest. So anyway, he gets his first job is to try to work on the Carter re-elect campaign in 1979-80 when he's like 22, roughly.
Right.
And he flies to the interview. He goes into the interview, and he's mislaid. I may have this slightly off, but he's mislaid. His bag went missing, and he's traveling in college gym clothes. Right? This is not a strong move to go and say, I can raise money, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he goes into the interview and he reportedly says, look, I don't know anything about fundraising, but I'll work my ass off. So
in the sweatpants.
Yeah, and he gets the job, supposedly.
That's ridiculous.
And it goes from there to, he gets the job and he says that the guy who ends up, I'll tease a little bit of it, who ends up being his father-in-law, the guy who hires him, says, you're going to come down to my house in Florida, and live in my house for 3 weeks with my wife and 4 kids.
Who the hell does that?
I know, it's nuts, because we don't have any money to pay for hotel rooms.
Come on now.
I swear it's what's in the book. I mean, I don't know if it's bullshit or not, but what he puts in the book. And then he says he gets there before the husband does, and he starts, he's got his charm, and he's charming, not the pants off the mother, but he's charming. And then he closes his first experience by saying, and The 16-year-old girl, he's 22, who was the youngest daughter, ended up to be my life partner, my wife. So he starts hanging around with a 16-year-old girl when he's 22, and he raises money unsuccessfully.
That's his wife now?
Yeah, the 16-year-old. And then he brags about his first, serious date when she was older, maybe, I hope, older. They go to Cape Cod. And in this book it says, he lands in Cape Cod and hotel room, the phone rings. By this time he's, weaseled his way into contacts of the Democratic Party. Gift of gab he has. And the phone rings, it's Tip O'Neill, the Speaker of the House.
Just calling him out of nowhere?
And saying, hey, I understand you're up in Cape Cod. Let's go golfing today. This was supposed to be a date.
Come on now.
He says. So he
leaves the 16-year-old.
He leaves
to
the
play golf
19-year-old.
with Tip O'Neill.
And he's away for.
Don't worry, it's just the tip.
It gets better. And he goes away. Typical round of golf, unless you're a pro, right? It's going to be 3 to 4 hours, 18 holes, roughly.
Takes me a lot longer.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, if he claims he's a good golfer, so he comes back 12 hours later without calling her, and he says,
"Good date."
And exactly, and he said, and story after story of how he's mistreating this woman throughout the book, and he's laughing about it. But then he says, we were telling, what happened? Well, we're telling stories, and like this one, Tip O'Neill was out fundraising, he said, with John F. Kennedy, and they were somewhere in Massachusetts, and they were targeting, this is way back when, $10,000 being raised for the evening. So they come back, and the person says, look, we raised $23,000, $12,000 in cash and $11,000 in checks. And according to Tip O'Neill, John F. Kennedy said, Tip, you take the checks, I'll take the cash.
Wow.
And that, to me, is the first time I began to understand what this campaign fundraising and getting rich off politics is all about. It's just like a foundation, the same trick. You say they could well have raised $45,000 for all we know. They're going to admit they raised so much in cash, admit they had these checks. You don't know how much additional cash they raised, right? You're dependent upon the good character of the various people involved in the business. And if this is well known to be monkey business, which I think it has been forever, going way back, centuries probably, a guy like McAuliffe, who brags in his book about being an idiot, basically about not being good in school, not paying attention in class, not caring what the rules are. There's another vignette where he's deciding they want him to be chair of the DNC, but he doesn't want to be chair of the DNC.
He did become, didn't he?
Eventually, 2001. But they want him to do it in 97. And so I'm just taking stuff from his book. I'm not like making this up. You have to believe what is in this book he believes to be true.
Right.
It may not be true, but he's written it and it's been published.
Right.
So the reason for success, he claims, is that in 1994, after the election, where Gingrich just kicked everybody's ass with the Contract for America. Let's go up this way.
Sure.
What's his name? McAuliffe was all optimistic, and he was bucking the president up, and he says, listen, I can raise a ton of money here. Don't worry, we'll get this done. Don't ask me how we're going to do it. We're just going to get it done. And I never get involved with that kind of stuff.
Of course not.
And
I was never going to do it.
Anyway, so it comes time to be a presentation where they give you the dates of March 20th, whatever it was, 1995. They say that there was a presentation where McAuliffe had worked with various people, bigwigs, I think it was March, and people who are skeptical and experienced with politics, and their idea was basically, we're going to do city by city fundraisers, and each city we're going to make $1 million, which is a lot of money back in 1995. And so
today too.
So one of the team, this guy Doug Sosnick, I think is the guy, is described in the book as being skeptical, and
of that much money.
And McAuliffe says he tells him in print, listen, I don't know how we're going to do this, and it doesn't matter. Just make it up, is what he says, and we'll get it done. Just make it up.
And McAuliffe says this in his own book?
Yeah. And then he goes in, and when he's wavering about does he want to be DNC chair in 97, he says, I don't know if we want to go up that way or...
Sounds like more
up that
marathon noise this way.
So he says, he had gotten an opportunity to buy a construction company out of receivership, quote, with my good friend Carl Lindner.
Who's that?
Well, I'll tell you. And it's Ortel's first law at work. He's dead. He's still dead, but he was notoriously crooked, Carl Lindner. He was, he was one of the biggest clients of Drexel Burnham. He is involved in scandal after scandal.
Drexel Burnham was junk bonds?
Junk bonds. He was personally very close to Mike Milken, the Predators. Boy, you look him up. He owned the Cincinnati Reds, where he got a chance to buy them when they can't.
Why do all these guys want to own baseball
Because
teams?
you can launder money.
Just pay the guy.
Ticket sales. You know, what are the real ticket sales?
And
Nobody
also,
knows.
you could pay a player a huge sum and say you got to pay that much to whoever, this and that.
Right.
Huh.
So, this book, unfortunately, and I have a signed copy actually. I didn't
Signed?
even. A used copy that's signed by Terry McAuliffe.
That's so funny.
And
Oh, you can use that to check his forged signature elsewhere.
exactly. But it's just crystal clear to me that McAuliffe was brought into the Clinton operation and other operations to raise money flouting the law.
Yeah.
He was somebody who had proven that he could flout the law and had done it and bragged about it, and then they bring him up and to raise the money for the Clinton Foundation as he's raising the money for Hillary's senatorial campaign, as he's getting them a house. None of this is disclosed.
That's how they roll. What a thing.
That's amazing. Let's go, Brandon! Why did you say that?
That guy's got a face mask on.
That's got to be difficult. This guy's taking it kind of easy.
They're walking.
Walking right here. There's a mixture of older people in here.
There's a lot of people.
They're not social distancing.
Well, they're running. Crap. COVID can't catch you if you're running.
COVID can't run that fast.
Right. All right, well, let's keep moving.
Which way?
You tell me.
Is that the new sign of the Biden administration? COVID keeps the lights on? You know that song, Coal Keeps the Lights On?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I suppose we go back this way. So we covered Lisa Monaco.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting,
we-
and a
we-
name that a lot of people probably haven't heard.
We've covered Terry McAuliffe, and I think it's now good to transition to the Durham developments.
yes.
And I would encourage people who have the time to watch Maria Bartiromo today. She had, I think she repeats, she was on it, she'd be on from 2 to 3, and then I think she's on at 6. She, in New York anyway, and she had John Solomon on for 2 segments, and John Ratcliffe on for a segment or 2. And Maria has been relentless. I mean, she wasn't always, I don't think, this conservative, but she's basically conservative economically, and she sees these corrupt grifters for what they are. She's claiming
I think that's the finish line right there.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Yeah,
it
there
looks
you go.
like it.
Could be. And generally they have,
Sorry, Charlie. Is this the finish line right here?
No.
Oh.
Mile 20.
25 mile marker.
Yeah, 25 miles. This is
Oh.
26, I think.
You
so.
see it right there?
Got it.
oh, I see, yeah,
Oh
25
yeah,
miles.
look at that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just trying to help out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, if I almost missed my dude because of that, we'd have problems.
Are you guys rooting for anybody named Brandon?
My best friend Ross and then his brother Jamie.
You don't have a friend named Brandon? We could be, let's go, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, fellas. I'm not so sure he got it,
I
Charles.
think he's a little bit, I think he's in
Yeah.
weed world at the moment.
Yeah. We will, exactly.
And maybe we could
Well,
zinc across if we
Yeah.
find an opening. Let's see, I don't want to knock anybody down, but if
we're
we
going
go
to participate in the
right
marathon
now,
right now.
right
Let's
now,
do
Jason. Look at me run, Jason.
it. That's good, Charles.
I don't need to go 26 miles when I could do 10 feet.
Yeah, all right.
We could continue on this side, or we could go,
Everywhere. Well, I don't mind.
I don't know, let's go this side and then
Sure.
we'll go, I don't know how much time we've got into this yet, but
Plenty. Oh, into it?
Yeah.
We're only 45 minutes.
All right. So, yeah, maybe we'll go down the west side a little bit. But anyway, so what Solomon, who is very thorough, and what Ratcliffe, who I think is also thorough, are said is that this is very serious. A lot more people are going to be indicted. And finally, we're going to see the fruits of work that has been going on for many, many months. And Solomon, of course, he was doing the TikTok thing under Trump.
They love that.
But he didn't do TikToking. And he just said that, and I think he's been living in D.C. for so long, he knows a lot of these players, and he knows a lot of lawyers and intermediaries. And I think he's married. And down there, the people are married and have boyfriends and girlfriends, what?
Texting.
Oh. They're always, these power couples get a lot of gossip. You know, they're going to different kinds of meetings,
Right.
whatever. And so they get the inside scoop before we who live outside Washington, D.C. may.
Us plebes.
Right. But Solomon has been, I mean, the stories that he writes are so, I know he's a quick writer and he's got help and people working with him, but they're so intricate and well-crafted. There's a typo actually in yesterday's story.
Wow, that's unusual
Which
for him.
I on my autofill for Gmail, I have his address and it just doesn't pop up, and I search it for Solomon and it doesn't come up. Amazing. That's
Google
another
is
story.
blocking you from emailing.
Could be. Or making it more difficult. Anyway. So they're arguing that a lot more is coming. We sort of got distracted on the James O'Keefe. We were about to say that Jonathan Turley has a very good piece. We're saying, hang the fuck on. He doesn't say it this way, but hang the fuck on. I mean, this is somebody lost their diary.
Yes.
And
there's the old rink
that's the
that's
Trump.
no
They should
longer
rename
Trump's.
it.
How come no one's skating on it, though?
I don't know.
Let's just
They're
look at that real
skating
quick.
on thin ice, Jason. I'm not sure I want to go down and back up. We can't.
Well, we could walk that way. We could take the stairs down and just go that way, no?
Okay, but then we have to go back up.
But
it's
back
okay.
on Turley, Charles, Jonathan Turley is the one lawyer I'm aware of who's in the, well, not the only one.
He's
but
left-leaning.
He's the only lefty lawyer in the public view who is not a moron. And also, we should just briefly mention, I tweeted earlier today,
like that.
federal judge
I love that.
in, I think, Louisiana has overturned Biden's vaccine mandate, saying that it has serious
Grave
statutory and constitutional defects.
Right.
And I tweeted it along with the advice that Alan Dershowitz should print out the tweet and insert it in his rectum.
There's not much room
therapeutic.
there. You want to go out on the thing?
Well, let's just take a look at the ice rink.
Right.
And that's not medical advice for Alan Dershowitz. They're not allowed to give medical advice.
That's right. Look at these buildings.
I know. Well, that thing is now the tallest building in Manhattan.
Now, why would you want to live in a narrow building like
Well,
that?
and both of them also relied on some material science advance that allows skyscrapers to defy this long-standing sort of, I don't know if it's a rule or what, but of engineering, that they have to be a certain multiple of they can only be a certain multiple of their own width as far as how tall they can get, but these are now a new generation.
Let's go up that way.
So why is nobody here? Because Trump is not allowed to maintain it and the city can't do it without
I have
him?
no idea. It's very different than when I was a kid, but it's much bigger.
But they have ice skating in Bryant Park.
Yeah,
I
I
would've
don't
expected
know,
it here
Jason. I
already.
don't know the answer. But it's interesting how you look over here and you have that one new building there, but not so many new buildings. And then this way, it's, a lot of new buildings.
Why do you suppose that is?
Zoning, probably. And the question becomes, why would you want to live in a building where you face north? I guess on the sides you have the east-west views, but I'd rather face south. Is this helicopter coming for you, Jason? We'll be drone stricken in a second.
Well, they don't need a drone if they've got the helicopters.
No, they launch a drone from the helicopter.
No way. The rotor draft would flip the drone immediately.
Couldn't drop it down?
No.
That's why I don't say anything about technology.
I'll deal with the drone stuff.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
Good
So
deal.
anyway,
You got that covered.
Turley,
Yeah, Turley's piece is, it goes chapter and verse and says, now wait a minute, what's the crime here? I mean, what
Right.
he got, somebody provided this information.
and
This
they
happens,
didn't even run it.
This happens all the time. This is the lifeblood of mainstream media, that people are given scoops. Pentagon Papers case is all about that, or was all
New
about
York
that.
Times v. Sullivan.
And of course, the team reviewed it, did not determine that it could be
Authentic.
authenticated, and they said, well, okay, fine, we'll go the extra mile of turning it in to law enforcement, and now you're going to rate them?
Oh, I didn't realize they had turned it in.
They turned it
But
in.
if it's already been published by somebody else, what are they?
Do you want to go that way or this way?
It doesn't
You
matter
pick.
to me.
You pick.
This is fine. The whole
So,
thing makes no sense.
well, except that it goes back to this. When I first got into the working world in 1980, the military-industrial complex was large, under a theory that we had to fight the Soviet Union, the Chinese Communist Party, communists everywhere, and the very large single piece of government spending was on the military, directly on the military, and then on contractors to the military, etc.
Yeah.
Since then, in 41 years, the military side has shrunk, and this vast surveillance state has come up where
Well,
nobody's in charge.
information technology was never a part of the military-industrial complex, really, until the 90s and the 2000s, and now it's become such a central part of it.
And so many fools, myself included, have freely given valuable information into our social media accounts, into our emailing, and
I
various.
wouldn't be so hard on yourself. They've foisted it on us in a way that it's been so integrated into our lives that you would have a difficult time effectively operating today without being a part of it.
So they've created this situation where you sort of have to do it.
Yes.
And now the crooked people, and we understand from the Solomon revelations that Hillary Clinton and the people close to the Clintons are extremely crooked, have been for a long time, probably started on this vast left-wing conspiracy before 1992. Bill started thinking about running for president, actually, formally, with people with money and stuff, in 1991 in February. We know that because I have a source of documentation that shows it. And then he only announced officially October 3rd, 1991, but he was so certain he could pull the wool over everybody's eyes, and more than that, it was in May of 91 that he jumped Paula Jones.
Right.
Right? So imagine, I'm thinking of running for president. What I think I'll do is I'll test my
Start
skills.
raping women.
Dropping trowel and asking her to kiss it. You know?
I thought that was the sheriff of some parish.
Another one. Saying that's what they do apparently here.
Man.
Drop trowel, kiss it. Ma'am, would you like? I mean, it's just boorish. But to think that you could, and criminal, frankly, but to think that, you exploring a presidential bid, exploring a run for a national high office with tremendous media scrutiny.
And just no compunctions whatsoever about doing that.
Right, so I've always said it tells you something about the man's risk profile.
Well, his mindset, right.
And his book is quite illuminating in that regard as well. When I read that book...
I want to just modify something that you've just said, Charles, because it's your assessment of his risk profile given what we understand about him. To me, what it says is this is a guy who knows something about his position where that's a low risk in his own personal assessment. He doesn't think anything will happen to him. You or I would not do something like that because it's a high risk that something would happen to us, and also it's wrong.
Right. But it's just, his book, which supposedly is written by him,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't.
Well, he allowed it out, so he obviously knows that's in there.
But he makes multiple admissions, they call them in law, I think, admissions against interest.
Yes.
He talks about how he has two personalities, basically. He says, I have the dark inside me filled with thoughts about how I'm going to ruin my life, and maybe I should be a doorman, and all. It's this ridiculous stuff. And then the outside me, and I have tough ability to reconcile the two me's.
Wow.
If somebody said that to me in a job
Sounds like
interview,
schizophrenia.
I'd say, excuse me, I have to use the men's room. Then I call
Never come
security
back.
and I'd say, get this fucker out of here.
Yeah. He is crazy. Now let's see, can we walk on this
People
side?
are walking.
Oh, good. This is. I guess now we'll
Now
get to
we're
the
coming
end.
to the end, I think.
Yeah.
So if we were Terry McAuliffe, we'd say we ran the New York City Marathon.
Right. Just change your clothes now and kind of slip in there. Somebody left this generator here.
I
Joe.
wouldn't use those words around any Clinton.
Right. Now, United Airlines is presenting this entertainment zone,
Yeah.
so you've got to put a mask on in between intervals of being entertained.
This crowd is actually not very big.
Right.
Of course, it's the end of the marathon, so I mean, these are people coming in, not dead last, but an hour or more behind the pace setter, the winner.
Right.
Interesting. Nice to see activity. Many of these people are helping the city's economy, which certainly needs help.
Yes.
So, going back then to the James O'Keefe, I mean, Hunter Biden leaves a gun behind, and the FBI goes and sweeps it up.
Illegally obtained.
Right. And now this diary, and then under Trump, mind you, they stop the social media, the corporate-owned media, stop any real exposition into the Hunter Biden laptop from hell. And I'm sure had we known, had that been Donald J. Trump Jr.'s
Oh yeah.
laptop, right? That would have been pre-leaked all over the place. But
You reminded me of another reason why, even though it's maybe not nice to make fun of people with drug problems, I'm doing it to the Bidens because I saw a lot of tweets accusing even Carrie Fisher,
Right.
Princess Leia, who has a lot of experience with cocaine use,
it is still dead, I believe.
died of a heart attack, probably in part because of abuse that she put her own body through. She said that Donald Trump was snorting cocaine. I think he's just very overweight and probably has some sort of nasal respiratory problem that causes him to, he takes these deep breaths through his nose that it seems like some point early in his presidency, some public speaking coach trained him not to do that. But he used to sniff a lot, and they said that that's him doing cocaine. There's no evidence ever of anybody in the Trump family doing cocaine, having a cocaine problem, certainly not being in cocaine rehab, but 5 people in Biden's family have been, and nobody's saying anything about it.
Not to mention Roger Clinton, Bill's brother, not to mention allegations against Barack Obama of drug and cocaine use. Right?
Text in. Yes. Bill Clinton's brother Roger is on FBI video buying cocaine, saying, I need a little more for my brother. He has a nose like a vacuum cleaner.
Right, and he was pardoned by his brother.
Unbelievable.
Right? But so then we see, I would argue now maybe there's something we don't know which would justify the raid on O'Keefe, maybe, could be. But from what we know,
I don't think so.
I think people worried about fascism, you understand that's what we have now.
This seems like the United Airlines entertainment down here.
Brandon! Not bad. You notice, I didn't stand there and dance like Terry McAuliffe. And I don't want to be governor of Virginia either.
That guy's using an easy rig. I super hate those things.
What?
That mount where it's hanging off of his back.
Oh, that. Imagine if you worked the night shift and you were sleeping, you wouldn't be very happy. Of course, you wouldn't be living here.
Right. Well, that's nice, I think, that we get to check out the marathon,
Right.
Anytime these kind of like once a year unique events happen in New York, it's interesting to observe them. I don't think I've ever come to the New York City Marathon even remotely. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's nice to see. I'm just amazed these people are able to run on this asphalt 26 miles. Whatever it is, 26.4 miles or 2. Whatever. Look at this guy, the old guy there.
It's dumb asphalt, Charles. Well, we have De Blasio as the mayor.
For those of us in the know.
So, will we be able to go down?
We may have to keep going and then go down 8th or 9th or something. We'll have to see. We have to go around it.
Who else do we want to talk about that's newsworthy?
Well,
let's see how our comments are going here on YouTube.
well, just if I could finish on Durham.
Sure. Oh, people say it's buffering, but I have no indication. No, it looks like it's working.
I have the summaries that I was getting watching TV and whatever. Maria, Solomon, Radcliffe, and others are saying that as we've been saying for many years now, the only evidence of collusion with Russia involved the Clintons.
Absolutely.
And the FBI, CIA, and mainstream media, what they were making, the points they were making on, what's that noise?
It's just people shaking the groggers.
Yeah. But what sounds like there's another video playing in there or something. Or maybe it's over there. Anyway.
That sound echoing off of this stone.
So they're focusing on how, if Brennan, which he was, Brennan sent a formal COIL.
COIL. What is that?
Counterintelligence letter or something like that, saying to the FBI, saying Hillary Clinton and her team are spreading. Wow. We're gonna have some trouble here. May as well go up this way.
Loud as hell.
Or we won't be able to.
We can't cross. We gotta go back. And that guy's maybe monetizing the video right now.
Yeah.
All right, that's okay.
So Brennan briefed Obama, and they know what happened in August of 2016. They had pictures of Brennan briefing Obama
about what?
That Hillary Clinton and her team were trying, as it were, to trump up the Russia collusion hoax theory and attribute it to Trump. And the CIA had figured this out. And people find themselves rope-a-dope into giving things away that they should not give away. So after 9/11, we had this need was asserted for a FISA court, and there are many unusual things about the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, but one of them is, unlike a standard court, you have no ability to send in a lawyer.
Right.
You have to watch it to know. Moron.
That guy was running fast.
I know. Always a smart move. Probably Terry McAuliffe.
Not looking, running right at us.
They're looking left and we're running quickly.
Full speed.
Right.
So Brennan knows.
So Brennan briefed Obama in August of 2016 before a number of these FISA warrants were sworn out that were definitely false. And the memo that went from the CIA to the FBI, who do you think got that memo?
Comey.
Peter Strzok.
Oh, well, right, because he is the CIA liaison in there, isn't he?
Right, but they know that he got this memo. He knew that the CIA was telling him, look, the allegations of Trump-Russia collusion are rubbish. They don't stand up. We checked them. They're wrong. Hillary's doing this to manipulate the 2016 campaign.
But isn't that the whole reason Peter Strzok is there, to stop messages like that from getting to where they need to go?
But this is a guy who needs to go to prison after a trial, giving a chance to defend himself for a very long time.
Strzok, you mean?
Strzok. And
they blocked me on Twitter.
Good, you're lucky for you. So
he knows we know what the hell he's up to.
Right, but my point to you, though, they're saying Bartiromo and Solomon and Ratcliffe were saying the reason they were doing that, Hillary was doing this, was to distract attention from the email scandal, and I think that's wrong. I think the reason they were doing this was to distract attention from the Clinton Foundation scandal, which had been an inquiry into which had been squelched. And you want to go to the left so we get out of the...
I think the fastest way is straight there and then right once we get to the plaza.
I want to dance again, We really want to encourage these people. I mean, they're walking at this point.
What?
You know, I mean, it's nice that it's a real effort to do this, but it's amazing. Just to do it and to stick it through, you know, to finish this race.
Well, wait a second, though. To follow up to what you were just saying.
So
I don't think it's just to cover that. It's to cover decades and decades of scandals.
Right,
to keep
exactly.
the scandal crew in charge.
But remember the timeline that we know in January of 2016 that Comey, in theory, did open investigations, in multiple investigations into the Clinton Foundation. At exactly the same time, we know that a high-level State Department person came in, sent Comey a letter. We have a copy of most of the letter. It's redacted in parts. And said, please acknowledge receipt of the letter. I want to go into a skiff.
Nah.
And Comey refused to respond, so he goes into a skiff. He shows up unannounced in the Washington field office, where I believe Strzok may have been, or maybe he was in the headquarters, I don't know. But that's highly material. You're opening an investigation. What was the predicate for opening the two investigations? And what were the predicates for opening the investigations? Where are the papers on those investigations? What evidence did they get? Who was involved in the investigation? Why did the guy who had been focused upon this, Giacalone, why did he leave at the end of January?
Went to Hilton.
2016. Why did he do that? What tensions were involved? What discussions were involved? What internal memos are there? And how much of this has Durham already seen? Right? I mean, there's a lot of evidence that needs to be scrubbed, not scrubbed, I don't want to use that word around the Clintons, looked at, evaluated, and who did any of that, if anybody did. So that's the kind of stuff Durham has to be investigating now, I hope.
Well, it did seem promising that it went from one low-level dope to that Russian guy who works for the Brookings Institution, or was working for Fiona Hill at the Brookings Institution. It's also super interesting to just take note of how much resistance and trouble has been made for me by people at the Brookings Institution, like Ben Wittie's, that bot sentinel thing.
Well, that's what Solomon specifically mentioned. He thought Durham was looking into the Brookings Institution, and it also mentioned Cody Shearer and Strobe Talbot.
Well, so he's finally listening to what Lee Stranahan is talking about. Cody Shearer and Strobe Talbot. Strobe Talbot, who is, centrally involved. What was that?
Just, I think it was a microphone thing, or.
Don't want to tell, but thank you. Do I look like I need a towel?
Are you a towel head?
I don't know. There's been a towel-y band.
Remember, I don't know how we crossed this before, but we didn't cross it.
It was over by the Apple store. Oh, no.
No,
it was actually in the park. You're right. Damn it, if we just locked ourselves into a...
It's going to be this is going to be a Monday with Charles. Sunday, Monday with Charles. Let's ask these people how we get out of here. I'll do it.
Sure.
How do we get out of here?
Are you guys trying to get across to the other side?
Train station, come back up.
Yeah, we are too.
Okay, thank you.
Got to go pretty deep into Bar. What do they say?
They go to the train station, go down, and come back up.
We're not doing that.
We don't need a mask for that.
But we're going to disconnect from the internet.
Is there another way to do it without going to the train station?
You don't have to sign. You just have to go down the stairs.
No, we can't. We're on broadcasting. We can't. How long?
We got to go back to where we were in the park. Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you. We're gonna get lost doing that.
Are we sure that it wasn't somewhere over here that we could do it?
Maybe.
We'll experiment.
Yeah, maybe
this will
we
be-
go
oh,
down.
look. Is that ice? Great idea. Let's leave all the ice out.
No, we can leave this out in Afghanistan or Afghanistan.
Well, you were mid-thought there, Charles, on the
Sorry?
investigation. You were sort of mid-thought there
Yeah,
on the
that
Durham.
Solomon was given a lot of airtime, as was Ratcliffe. There were a lot of canned quotes from previous commentary. And I think they're flipping the switch on it. Maria was basically saying, for 5 years, the MSNBC and others have been selling a completely false narrative, deceptively false narrative, at considerable cost to this country, to the Trump family, and to others. And there has to be an accounting for this. You can't just do this for 5 years or longer and say that's the way we roll. I mean, and you shouldn't want to do that, because when a conservative gets into power, perhaps with control of the Senate and the House, you've set a nice precedent for them. Let's round up all the journalists at the New York Times and elsewhere and just do, turnabout's a bitch. And the another thing, going back to Terry McAuliffe's book, he talks about that constantly. He talks about that the reason the Clintons were so tough on their opponents is because the H.W. Bush had been so tough on been so tough on go Brandon. What?
Yeah.
Have been so tough on the Clintons.
That's not true at all.
No, it's absurd. I mean, I think there are criminal elements in both establishment parties.
Is this the train station she's telling us to go down into that's closed?
And then
Yes.
oh,
They'll let us
Jesus.
through.
I think we can keep going now.
Yeah.
I see it. The other side. We just keep going?
Thanks.
So,
So they lie and say that the Bushes were hard on the Clintons.
right, and I think both parties have been part of this. George H.W. Bush very much part of this third way idea of globalism, unregulated globalism, and setting up these international loose structures that allow pockets to be picked by leaky charities, by unscrupulous advisors, be they lawyers, accountants, consultants, or whatever. And they engage in these gigantic globalist schemes where the money is raised, but no one ever figures out where it's going. And that's what they've been all about ever since 1989. In both parties. Let's get around these guys.
Are we just corralled now? Oh no, there we go. We can go through there.
Yeah. Go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead, Jason. Thank you. Oh boy.
Well, we were able to sneak through with the imams, Charles.
Exactly. It's because of my hat.
Yeah.
I thought it was Arabic.
Like, oh, you must be part of this. But we're still not actually through to the other side.
That's an Enron. It's a fake business, but it was in the form of an Enron logo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now
Well-
maybe we'll be able to go in here somehow across. This is about where we did it up here. A little bit further in.
Okay, I think we're going to find a spot here where we can go through.
Maybe. I think if we go up.
How about right there where that park
No,
guy is
'cause we're-
standing?
I don't think. I think we need to be up
Okay.
away from.
We don't want to get on the news for tripping a jogger.
Right. Again. So yeah, now there's the fence.
Now, this person just went right under.
Which person?
That lady.
Let's go, Brandon.
Sort of slow moving. I think we could do it.
You think so?
Yeah. This lady went under right here, and we could go right to where
Well,
that.
I think we want to cross over, like,
Well, that park person is standing by an opening there. Let's see. Let's try it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, people are crossing.
definitely not a marathoner.
No. Well, here, we can
Climbing
go
up
through
the
here.
fence, is that such a great idea?
I think right there. We're just going to go right
Oh,
here,
okay.
and then right there.
Thank you.
I don't want to get you. Yeah, no, they're coming. Yeah, my girlfriend.
There we go. That's
Thank
sort
you
of a
so much.
negotiated.
Way to go, Agent 007.
Yeah,
So we ran the marathon twice. Some people do it
that's
once.
right.
Should we go down Park or something, or get?
Well, we could just sure.
Or Madison maybe, or
Whatever
Madison's
you-
where we get nailed, isn't it?
Well, I'd like to test it because we've got our new
I got it.
system here.
Let's,
There we go.
Let's
We've
go that way.
crossed through the other side.
In here. I really don't like to be kettled like that.
No, I hear you, but it's sort of what they do. Now, the other thing I want to remind people, Charles, is that they can still watch, in addition to YouTube, on rumble.com/user/CS the truth. Oh,
There's an appetizing garbage truck, huh?
someone could have their lunch off of this. But yeah, following on Rumble and also Odyssey. I haven't spoken a lot about Odyssey, but odyssey.com/@crowdsource the truth has a lot of the old stuff that YouTube has removed. So it's almost like a backup of the Crowdsource the Truth channel. And of course, Crowdsource the Truth 5, Crowdsource the Truth 6, and the Sunday with Charles YouTube channel all have simulcasts of the videos.
It's a multi-podcasting enterprise.
Well, I've tried to make it a little bit more difficult for malicious individuals who want to remove us from the internet. What else do we want to discuss, Charles? We've got a whole walk downtown now to
Well, let's check out
occupy.
the degree to which stores have disappeared.
Sure.
We'll walk down here.
Now, what's this logo? Is this the Pierre again?
This
no,
is the
what?
Metropolitan Club. You've eaten there, remember?
All right. With the big fancy flourishy M.
Yeah.
Oh, look, how's this guy liking the Super Cruise?
And then this is across the street is the Harmony Club, the blue awning.
Huh.
That's
Anything that calls itself the Harmony Club sounds to me like it's
I
engaged in.
think from memory, the Harmony Club
Disharmony.
has a very Jewish membership.
Doesn't matter.
I'm just saying,
Call
that's-
yourself Harmony, you're
But-
probably up to no good.
Right, I'm just saying that each of these clubs have their own. This one, I think J.P. Morgan family somehow is responsible for this club.
It's very British to have a huge fence like this.
It's really nice actually inside.
Courtyard there.
Decent food there. You had a nice meal, short meal, a meal anyway. So we're back in the heart of the upscale shopping district. We'll see how many shops remain open.
Right.
We also could talk briefly about Yellowstone,
Oh yeah.
which has been, it's one of these things, like I got clued into Downton Abbey years into it, so I just didn't follow it at all. And I was so pissed that it ended so quickly, and I haven't gone back to try to watch it from the beginning. In my view, this is sort of like Downton Abbey set in the West. And,
Yeah.
And it's, Kevin Costner plays this patriarch, the gigantic
I thought he's
ranch.
Wyatt Earp, no? Oh no, that's a different thing.
That's a different one. He's what, do you want to go to Park it down, or which way?
I don't know.
We've done Madison. Maybe let's go down Park.
Sure.
So it's all about this intrigue of all sorts of people screwing with one another, and they have to try to save the the ranch, and it's been quiet for a while, and now the new season starts tonight with a 2-hour premiere starting at 8 p.m. And I don't have any financial interest in it, but I was just watching it. And
It's Larry's favorite show, he's told me.
yeah. And so for me, it's interesting because at the same time, I'm also, in my copious spare time, working on genealogy and family history. This is set, I think the original owner of the supposed ranch got there, let's say in the 1900s. And Montana became a state in 1889. And the two branches of my family that got there in 1864, which is when it was still a territory.
Huh.
And indeed, they both got there from different ways. One from Springfield, Illinois, who had been, who ultimately married the mayor's daughter, who had grown up or lived kitty corner from Abraham Lincoln. And the other, remember those four Spencer brothers up in Boston, are people, Spencer got out there in 1864, actually from Canada, where they had fled.
Trudeau?
No, the American Revolution. They were loyalists, so they went up to Canada and eventually got
Loyalists to the Queen, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And but there's actually quite a lot. I tweeted some
Or
of
the
this.
King.
The King, actually, back then. But I tweeted out some links before we went on to actual historical materials that you can find. And it's this one guy, his name was somewhat unusual, A-L-M-O-N, Almond Spencer. And he's the one who found a lot of gold.
Related to Don Lemon?
No, not at all. And he's the one who found a lot of gold in 1865 or thereabouts in Montana. Garbage everywhere. Not so much as last week, though.
No, it seems like maybe they kind of, I don't know, something happened.
You think someday you can go to the ATM, you get some cash, and you go next door, pick up some garbage, strew it around the street. Set up a COVID test center and a voting booth.
Well, wait a minute. You were just talking about loyalists to the monarchy. We forgot to discuss Joe Biden's flatulent visit.
Oh, God. That's hilarious. I mean, if you go back, it must be intimidating, even for presidents who've grown up with money and have been living in the White House for a while, to sit down at a formal event at Buckingham Palace or Windsor Palace or something like that with all these rituals and protocols and all that kind of stuff. And but apparently there's one protocol, and they explain this to you if you're ever going to meet these people, the different rules.
It's a Christmas rhino, Charles.
Yeah. This store is not that old, and it started out as a smaller version of what it now is. And it has overpriced but nice looking.
You trying to tell me that a leather rhino is unusual?
Well, I hate fake books. Those are fake books. And those are obviously.
No problem with leather rhinos.
Sort of, if you have a little kid, it's sort of cute. In my house that I had with a lot of room in it, somebody came in and wanted to be a decorator, which I didn't ever use really. And she was making her pitch to me saying, listen, I have a great relationship with somebody who will sell you books by the linear foot.
Oh, yeah, you told me about it.
I'm like,
fired.
This meeting is over. I've read every book in my library.
But just briefly, back on the Queen, I mean, I don't know if you know this, Charles. They have this thing like the day after Christmas called Boxing Day,
Right,
which
that's
I don't understand why they want to encourage
day
people
off.
to fight after Christmas. But it's
day off.
British, so it doesn't have to make
That's
sense.
right.
And then I've decided that we could have a new day after Incontinence Day, and it would be flatulence. It was a little bit louder than I anticipated, so I apologize to people for that. But
And again,
that was an incredibly sophisticated fart joke.
that was really good. I liked it. Coming on the heels of your prior poster, Incontinence Day, but
Right.
it's sort of matte black.
So what happened though? Somebody said he was like totally farting out the Queen?
Before we get to that one, back when Obama was there and he had his dinner with the Queen, the tradition is when you say God save the Queen, that's it. Everyone stops talking. But Obama just says that and then kept talking. And you can watch it on YouTube if it's still on there. And Charles is sitting there and he's like come on,
Who would
Camilla.
say?
You know, because it's just something you know.
Right.
You would have been briefed that that ends the discussion.
Royal protocol.
But Obama just went on and on and on and wouldn't shut up. And Charles is muttering to himself. And so now in this latest one, I don't know if Charles was there when Biden was there, but Camilla was. And apparently Biden, it wasn't a fart. I mean, it was like,
It's just like left
it
the
was
door
like-
open.
It's like those cans they use in football games, you know, with the big horn.
Oh yeah, the
Like-
hockey air horn.
Yeah, I mean, and it was apparently it was stanky too. It wasn't just the sound.
I'd love to hear the Duchess of what it was wet, drippy, audible.
So, do you need to?
I thought I'd get cancer.
You need the gents.
Unbelievable, Joe Biden.
I mean, it's
So when he's not crapping his pants, he's farting out the Queen.
that's not good. That,
Total idiot.
the couple is having quite a fight.
I didn't notice.
Oh, she's walking away and he's storming after
Into
her.
traffic.
That's one of those, dirty weekends gone wrong.
Well, he didn't let her get hit by a car, at least.
You don't know where the car is? You're kidding me. That kind of thing.
So I got my fart joke in, Charles.
All right, good. Keep it coming. It's pretty funny.
At least we can't be accused of being too highbrow.
That's right. Yeah, we put the low and lowbrow. But anyway, it was pathetic, really, to think. I mean, if you're sitting there in the UK and you're receiving this president of the United States, wouldn't you be sitting there and saying, "No, this is the best the Yanks could do"? This dude, And then supposedly he said to the Queen, it's reported they said to the Queen, "You remind me of my mother."
Right.
Which
Seems
is
like another thing you're not supposed to say to the Queen.
Well, it's just like, all right, the Queen's, if you had one of those meme manufacturers, you're going to have that comment,
Queen meme.
the Queen of meme. And the air bubble next to the Queen's head is, I certainly am not a peasant like your mother.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it's just an absurd thing to say to somebody who has received 13 separate U.S. presidents. That was called Dupury and Company, Dupury, which was the ground floor was a big auction house rivaling Christie's.
Oh, right.
And
Not anymore.
no, it doesn't seem like it. Pretty quiet, I'd say. It
Well, I
is-
guess the marathon is messing with traffic.
But still, I mean, for a Sunday, and we're coming.
Yeah,
this,
it's quiet.
This is beginning to be ordinarily shopping season.
Oh, absolutely.
Hanukkah's early this year. Christmas is the usual day, but
Flatulence Day is coming.
and you've been told by Kamala that you better do your shopping early.
Better do it early.
And I'm going to focus on the border. I think my first stop will be France.
Isn't it
Which is
so
where she
obvious
is.
how she changes her, the border to France?
Well, I mean, she's probably going Christmas shopping, wherever she goes in Paris.
But she changes her accent to be more
I
sort of
hate that.
street if she's addressing a black audience.
I hate that. It's just so superficial. Hillary's the worst at it with the hot sauce bottles. Y'all, I think she's really bad because her natural accent is this flat Midwestern scratchy.
She's from
accent.
Chicago, right?
I don't even think she's from Chicago. I think she's from outside Chicago.
But like her
She's from
dad
there.
was somehow involved with the Chicago mob, right?
There are allegations like that. I don't know, but I mean, she's certainly not well adjusted. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And that yeah.
And now this is done basically,
Is it occupied? It's not. The internals are not done. I don't think.
but they built that pretty fast.
No, it was under construction for a long time. They couldn't agree how to do it, and then they finally. Oh yeah, here's Phillips. This is Phillips Dupury. Maybe they moved it over here. Yeah. Look. Speaking of funny portraits of the Queen,
Was that the Queen?
it's a funny portrait of somebody pretending to be the Queen. I guess they just moved Phillips over here. Ah, my
Well-
old stomping ground.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Mobile art.
Jason, actually, you're right. That's the building that used to be an apartment building.
It's pretty rapidly constructed,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell.
Yeah, unlike most construction projects, particularly any in the public sector.
Right. Do it like any kind of bridge or highway around here
Yeah,
has been under
25
construction
years.
since I was 5.
Right, exactly. Speaking of the Hutchinson River Parkway,
Yeah.
which nobody was, or LaGuardia Airport.
Right.
You think that's the apartment building that I looked at having an apartment in over there. That's the one that's not yet down.
Well, then there's that other thing that we can't quite tell if they're constructing or destructing.
Well,
but
that's the
not
JP
on
Morgan.
Park.
It is JP Morgan.
Oh, it is?
World headquarters, yeah.
Did we pass that already?
No, it's down on 47th or 8th Street.
Okay.
Here we have,
But there's still a seriously huge amount of stuff out of business here.
right, TD Ameritrade, Jason. Stop the spread.
Yeah. But that's not the same as TD Bank. I mean, somehow it's the same, but it's not.
There we go.
And here's the Ferrari place.
Wanna
Again, and
trade
bunch
in
of
a
guys
skateboard for a
skateboarding on the
Ferrari?
sidewalk.
Moron.
And here's a Corvette C8 mocking the Ferrari place, parked right outside.
That's funny.
Are you going to get a Z06? Oh no, doesn't want to talk.
He's too
Not
important.
getting a Z06.
Which one's the Z06?
Just announced the most powerful naturally aspirated V8 engine ever created, and maybe the last all mechanical drivetrain for a Corvette, I think.
What's the?
Well, they're going to make them hybrid, and then they might make it electric. So if you are
How much will that new one cost?
I don't know if they have announced the price, but
Well, you just get a car loan and you pay for it, right? It's free.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even have that car if I had the money in New York City. That's a car that if I had the money, I would buy it and put it in a barn and save it, because I think it's going to be, it's like a piece of artwork. Industrial
I know people who've done
design
that.
history. Yeah. Well, Justin Trudeau, I don't know if you realize this, Charles, he's got a Mercedes SL convertible, classic, that was, original owner was his father, and similar models have sold for over $1 million.
Yeah, nothing crooked about that.
Well, I mean, Pierre bought it new in the 60s.
Yeah, with what money? You know, there's a Trudeau Foundation in Canada.
I know, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I was talking with David Hawkins about that on Friday, and it was created, I think, after Pierre kicked the bucket. And I saw a photo of Justin Trudeau at dinner with a bunch of Chinese people who the article was all about them giving money and questions about whether that was okay or not.
Certainly not.
Right.
And I mean, if you look at the common threads around crooked people who do mixed business and politics, and it's not just the Doug Bands, who may or may not be totally crooked, he's certainly sleazy.
Well, how is he not totally crooked?
Well, to say totally crooked, I mean, I don't have evidence of him, other than the 990s for the Clinton Global Initiative. I'd say those are very crooked. But give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, since he tried to get into this club here and that didn't happen. Right here. I took about 30 seconds from the moment that it was noticed. This is the Racket Club. 30 seconds from the moment that it was noticed that his name was up for candidacy, to, we won't say who's responsible for this, to the time that it was brought to the attention of the club that that guy shouldn't be there. And he was off the dust.
That's funny.
But here we have Fidelity.
Well, this will also present an opportunity, if it's not too redundant, to just check up on Grand Central if you want.
Sure. So we've got Fidelity. Do you think you could have, you know, an investment firm for the Clintons?
Infidelity?
Infidelity, or
Yeah.
Lucifer, you know, Lucifer and Beelzebub or something? The law firm of Lucifer and Beelzebub?
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
That's how they roll, Jason.
Believe me, I know.
So this Waldorf Astoria project's not going so well.
Why, what's wrong?
Do you see any It hasn't been fixed.
I thought it was all the inside that they were working on. It's a Chinese company or guy.
I'm sure it's completely above board. I mean, there's
What's the name of the guy?
I don't know.
He came up.
But Madison Avenue normally is hopping even on a Sunday
Yeah,
with
it's
shopping
very
season. This is not, there's not really, no restaurants per se down here. The Waldorf is now closed. That used to be, there's a special way that you can access the presidential suite from underneath. I've actually been in the presidential suite with a Saudi prince in that place when it was nice. Let's just get past this guys. But there's a special way that you can stay.
Hey, this guy's Ken Jacobs talking about finding attractive green
I don't know who Ken Jacobs this is.
incentives for green
Well,
investing.
is this Bloomberg or is this?
That says Bloomberg
Yeah.
Wall Street Week.
Yeah. So, Mayor Mike is chair or was chairman of the C40 Cities project. He's
Right.
all in for climate change. He's got a carbon footprint the size of Newark, New Jersey. Personally.
Bigger than a bowl of gay ice cream.
Exactly. But he's going to lecture you on how many cars you can have when he has, 7
Right.
homes and flies private jets around and has
ridiculous.
gigantic offices that consume all kinds of information and may or may not handle the confidential information on Bloomberg.net emails the way they should. And he caters to the 0.1%. I mean, the 300,000 or so clients of Bloomberg are the richest people in the world.
Right.
That's how he spends money.
Every corner we're approaching has at least one business out of business.
Right, and that's not monkey business. We are coming to, I think this was Karma in action last year. There was, I think we were told that there were protesters at JP Morgan on Earth Day or something like that. And the cops were saying, you really don't want to climb up the scaffolding. Oh, fuck you, we're going to climb up. And the guy goes up like...
Fell right off,
right? I don't know that he was killed, but I think it hoit, which is worse than hurting. Hoit really hurts.
Well, I mean, now that we're in this new normal where the hospital gets to decide if you get treatment or not based on their opinion of the morality behind various decisions that you might make and how it may affect the population at large, why would they provide medical treatment to someone who voluntarily chose to do something so obviously dangerous?
It's just a complete turning on the head of the medical profession by idiots.
Right.
Another thing, I'm reading this book. Amy Chozick is a New York Times reporter. She's reported elsewhere. She wrote a book called Chasing Hillary.
Uh-huh.
And it's all from 10 years of covering Hillary from 2013 to whatever it was, 10 plus years, before 2013. She, supposedly the night of the 2016 general election, they're flying around and they're certain that Hillary's going to win, according to Chozick's book. And I think, could it be the Macarena that you would be doing in 2006?
Yeah, I guess they could.
So Chelsea was leading all these people in the campaign plan doing the Macarena, and they're drinking vodka and champagne and all this kind of stuff the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well.
Right. Well, because it's the same. Oh yeah, here is the building.
Yeah.
It's the same news that's telling us all the other
Now,
nonsense.
do you want to go underneath all that stuff or not?
Let's do it. We're testing out
All
the
right.
new system here. We're gonna go where radio waves normally
Once
would
troubled
not
us.
venture. Yeah.
But the stories, it's very much, and I'm sure the same sort of stuff happened in the Bush campaign and maybe the Trump campaign. It's this, people who are in the loop, the White House reporters and all the major people are trying to get on the right side of Hillary
Right.
and not reporting correctly what actually happened. They never have.
That means doing the Macarena.
That's right. And, somebody now that all these books have been written, and Durham is either going to pull punches or he's not. if he doesn't want to pull punches, I mean, he doesn't have to sit down with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. He can just have people read a few of these books.
Just watch our show.
You put it through the timeline. Hillary Clinton was determined in 2013, prior to 2013, when she had Dennis Cheng vacuum up all the contacts.
He loves the London School of Economics. He's probably a Fabian socialist.
Well, so he's working at a young age. Somehow he insinuates himself. Remember, a young person insinuates himself. He's raising money. How the hell does he do that? Who are his contacts? He went to high school, and they may have been from Hong Kong.
Went to high school in Hong Kong?
Yeah, Hong Kong.
So he must know a ton of people in the Washington, D.C. area
Right.
for doing that.
Dianne Feinstein's driver and everybody else. But anyway.
Right.
If somebody wouldn't have shoes and clothing in this day and age, it's like, we can always give clothing. Same with housing.
She had
She's
a
running
guest,
for governor.
yeah, a guest slot on the show there.
But back in 2013, she's before then had a plan to make sure that what happened to her in 2008, when that upstart ne'er-do-well Barack Obama stole her rightful place,
Right.
she was determined that wasn't going to happen. That wasn't going to happen again. So they engineered this. They had the Perkins Coie people. Their people were insinuated into the Democratic National Committee, into state committees.
Well, so when did McAuliffe become the head of that?
He was the head of the DNC from 2001 to 2005.
So what did he do while he was doing that?
Well, see, what he did is he raised a lot of money for the Democrats. At the same time, he was the lead fundraising guy for the Clinton Foundation, and he didn't disclose in the papers for the Clinton Foundation the basis upon which he was compensated, if any, for raising the money, and all these cross currents where he's raising money from Fred Eichner, millions of dollars for the DNC, at the same time that Fred Eichner is giving him millions of dollars for the Clinton Foundation HIV/AIDS program that didn't exist. None of this is disclosed in the Clinton Foundation filings, and needs to be.
Well, it's not going to be.
Well, we'll see. Speaking of that, a week from tomorrow, then they may file early, but a week from tomorrow is when the final filing deadline is for
The 15th?
November 15th for 2021. 2020.
A lot of deadlines on November 15th.
Yeah. So this used to be the Pan Am building.
Yep. Oh, look. What do you have, Navy people?
Either that or it's Halloween week.
Go Navy. Army. All right, well, whatever.
They're Navy. They had Navy.
I thought he said Army.
I think the next thing you say is beat Army.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are Navy.
Yeah, Navy hat with the anchor on it.
Yeah. Now, you'd think the guys just run 26 miles. The girlfriend could at least organize a rickshaw to take him home.
Was that?
This is a marathon guy.
Oh, yeah. No, he's riding the train.
Belly up to the bar.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
best thing to do after a marathon is pound a few shots.
In the vodka.
Yeah.
Go right for it.
It's gonna have.
That's actually one of the scenes, of course, in Yellowstone. The kids are all screwed up, and the female gets beaten. In the last episode I watched, got the crap beaten out of her, and so she's at the main house, ranch building, and they're plotting revenge and breakfast.
Yeah, this is about the Bundys.
Well, maybe, but they have a cook, and the cook comes around and says, "What would you like?" I said, "I'd like my usual smoothie." What do you want in it? I want, bananas, whatever, and 3 shots of vodka. She's smoking a cigarette in the morning, face all beaten up.
A lot of marathoners coming through.
He's a very important guy. You slap a uniform on somebody, and suddenly can't be all full of attitude.
So here we go, Charles.
Into the belly of the beast.
Our audit of. Oh yeah, there's the Apple store up there,
The core store,
and then this
the
is
rotten core.
Grand Central.
Yeah, this is a lot
Kinda
busier.
busy.
When we went a year ago through here, there was a time when there was basically nobody.
Right. So I mean,
Go
maybe
skeet
these
shooting.
are all people here for the marathon.
Going
or
home,
looks like
yes.
shopping bags.
Well, some going home, yeah, Christmas shopping or whatever, holiday shopping. It's a pity because up there used to be a nice Italian restaurant. There used to be Michael Jordan's. Careful.
And then also the oyster bar.
It's gone.
I know.
I like that oyster bar.
I liked it too, and they had one at Newark Airport for a little while, which was kind of one of the best restaurants there. But then in some kind of scandal that led to the ouster of, I think his name was Jeff Smizek, the CEO of United. He's under federal investigation, I think in part for some kind of scheme to consolidate all the restaurants.
Yeah. Well, that's right up there, right now. You say, what do you do? Well, I run the best restaurant in Newark Airport.
Right.
Oh, okay, great.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to impress anybody with it, but when you go there and want to have
No,
dinner.
I'm sure it was good. Yes.
Anyway, they got rid of all the independent restaurants, and they're all owned by one company, and they suck.
Where was that again?
Newark
Oh, okay.
Airport. Something just dinged. I think the Bluetooth headphone thing might be losing battery, but that's okay. We could still go
A little bit. We'll just
even
go down
without it. Part of the way I'm making this new system work involves some additional technology.
So you see, this is. When do you think the last time this was ever inspected?
Investigated?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Or
probably
painted?
strong as hell, but you've had decades of car traffic going on this bridge. At some point, doesn't it weaken?
That's a question for an engineer.
Well,
But-
Joe was saying, most of our bridges are falling down. This guy,
Yeah.
I mean, he makes Chicken Little look.
Well, I don't disagree with him. The infrastructure of this country is a disgrace. We walk around saying we're the greatest country in the world. Escalators don't work at New York City's largest train stations. I mean, like
School
I've said,
system
it's
doesn't
like
work.
Right.
And many people who are on the rolls claiming that they work for the government don't actually work. So light.
Right, including the police. They're on the rolls and they claim that they work.
Yeah. Well, they're texting. They're in speed texting competitions.
This is very important work.
This used to be cars used to go on this.
I
And
prefer it this way.
I do too, but I wonder how much this cost. I'm going to bet it wasn't $1 million to turn it, in just.
All you need is some
Who knows?
chairs.
Who knows how much that sculpture cost? Here's another guy. This guy's really, his feet look like he's hurting.
Oh, he's got the mask on too after the marathon. I don't think that's
Somebody else's car.
I
gonna.
think that's all. It's sensible. So yeah, it's we have the daylight savings time. So
Right, I meant
Gets
to make a
dark
joke
earlier.
about that. I've been waiting an hour for you, Charles. Where you been?
I suppose we could go if you want to go to Bryant Park.
Sure.
You can
Oh
go
yeah,
down
there it
Sixth-
is.
Yeah, go down 6th or something, or go down 5th.
It's adamant that the headphone Bluetooth thing is.
Not working.
No, it's working, but it's dinging as if it's got to be telling me it's about to lose battery. But it doesn't matter. It won't affect the recording.
But Arch. Dingbat. But
Whoa.
Archie. What?
Somebody's. Oh God! You could smell those shoes from down the block. Holy cow! My God. So okay, this is what I was thinking about. A lot of our friends from the New York Freedom, whatever that is, they're regularly posting little Instagram videos of riding on the subway, etc., and people hassling them about masks and whatnot. And I think it was Curtis. I don't know if he mentioned this, but I just saw the video. I wasn't even listening to it. And you could see in the subway car where he was is a homeless person sleeping face down on the bench
Right.
with
Drooling,
soiled pants. Right.
Drooling, peeing.
So somebody's worried about a person who is not having symptoms and not sick and has, showered and brushed their teeth within the last.
month.
Well, no, I'm talking about Curtis, probably within the last 12 hours, and they want him to wear a mask. But this guy, whose clothing probably has viruses emanating from it, that's fine. He could stay there, passed out on the train.
Right. Or this morning. I went out to do an errand yesterday morning, rather. And there are these link stations. You know what I'm talking about? The recharge-
Wi-Fi, homeless Wi-Fi.
Right. And so I'm walking by a link station downtown, and I see this guy, school of pants below waist,
Right.
but all the expensive sneakers and
Right.
all this kind of stuff. Take out some kind of a cup, unzip his pants, pee into the cup,
Oh.
through the cup, onto the side of a building.
What's the
Getting
point?
pee on his hands in the process.
What the
Like,
hell?
What the fuck is it?
What's with the cup?
I don't know, but I mean, it wasn't 7 in the morning, or
You sure that wasn't Kenny Chesney?
it was. I see the guy around. I mean, he's the same guy. I see him constantly, and guys like him. And the police must, if I can notice them. I mean, I don't text, so
That's why. If the police would
But-
pay a fraction of the attention that you're paying,
Yeah,
we
and-
wouldn't be in this mess. Holy crap.
What? That's a lot of garbage. Next to kids. Mommy, Daddy, can I play next to the garbage? Sure, why not?
The reason I mentioned that about Kenny Chesney, Charles, is I know he's got to be your favorite country western singer.
Wasn't he married at one point to?
Yes, and then there was something where she said that there was fraud. They annulled it.
Really?
Was it Renee Zellweger?
I thought Kenny Chesney was married to that Australian singer.
Maybe that's right.
Australian.
Kim Basinger?
No,
Something
I
happened.
may have it wrong. Who
No,
knows?
you're right. He got married to somebody. The reason I bring it up, if people have seen the Kenny Chesney movie, Summer in 3D, guess who was underneath the stage with Kenny Chesney for the opening shot where he lifts up on a chair because that person had designed the world's smallest uncompressed 444 RGB stereoscopic camera. You guessed it, it was me. And before every show, we went to 4 or 5 different Kenny Chesney shows when they selected that shot. And before every show, down in that little backstage underneath the thing, first of all, he's drinking a giant Slurpee or like a Mountain Dew, like a giant Mountain Dew.
With booze in it?
I don't know, but then he takes the Mountain Dew cup, goes to the corner of the room,
Peas in it.
pisses in the Mountain Dew, and then hands it to a guy whose only job was to stand there and receive the piss. And I thought to myself, that is disgusting, Kenny Chesney.
That really is. That's
But
gross.
the shot is in the movie. They didn't color time it at all.
Huh.
It's just like this totally flat shot of Kenny Chesney coming out. Well, sorry, very deep stereoscopic shot, but flat color.
So here's the New York Public Library. Look at all library-like.
Yeah, it's nice. And
Here we
this
go.
is a good time for us to be shooting. A little golden hour light coming in there, Charles.
You planned that.
Well, not exactly, but, sorry, we just almost screwed up the Instagram picture. Everybody's taking pictures right in front of us.
Well, we can't give
What
too
is
too
over
hard
there?
a time. Look at the
People are like,
sky.
oh my God, is that Charles Ortel?
I don't
Take an
think so.
Instagram
I
picture.
don't think so.
Let's do a TikTok.
I don't think. A tit for tat talk.
A tit for tat.
So what do you figure, down 5th or down 6th? Or 7th?
We can carry on going this way. What other thoughts do we have for the audience, Charles?
Well, we have in this coming week, there's a big crisis in Ethiopia. Do you see that?
I saw that the State Department told Americans to leave Ethiopia.
Well, there's something called the Tigray, I think, Liberation Army.
That's
and
Tedros's party.
and I don't know that that's his party. I think that's.
Oh no, that's who he's against.
Yeah, and so Tedros, when you look at this Tedros guy, and I have done so, and
No, I think he's with Tigray.
I don't know about that.
Let's look it up.
You want to go right since we went,
Sure. Well,
or next one
there's a lot
out?
of construction there.
He became first. He was health minister without a medical degree. He had a degree, but he wasn't an MD. And he was the first health minister in Ethiopia, which has a notoriously poor health infrastructure. And it's a big country with, I think, over 100 million people.
Yeah, no. Tedros' party, Tigray People's Liberation Front.
Okay, so that's his party trying to take over Ethiopia.
Right.
And he is one of the very few people who actually cheered who was upset that the
About what?
Soviet Union broke up. He's pro-communist Chinese. His record while health minister, finance minister in Ethiopia was atrocious. His record in inside this.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are just totally going through the light.
His record at the WHO.
No, don't drive when the light is red, you asshole.
I don't think
Mask on. Eyes closed.
probably drunk. Now they're coming for you, Jason.
So Tedros is there with the peoples.
So the Ethiopia, remember, there was Eritrea is now a separate country, but it's another example of British and actually Italian colonialism run amok, cobbling together countries, putting warring tribes or warring ethnic groups inside the same nation, only to see that not work because there's not enough resources and there's not enough employment, there's not enough money.
They hate each other.
And they hate each other, and the climate is challenging as well.
Yeah, it's
high
a desert,
mountains,
isn't it?
places you have high mountains, it's arid, not a lot of water, not enough wood. In parts of Africa, actually still, people burn trees that cook with wood. You know, it's not very, that's not good for climate. If you care about the climate, a tree normally will be a store as it grows.
And take carbon dioxide out.
As it grows. But when you chop it down and uproot it, you are stopping the process of storing the carbon, and you then burn it, you're releasing carbon into the air. So it's like at 180 degrees from good.
What's going on here? We have
Those are
portable
porta potties.
toilets on the street.
Well, probably, I don't know. They heard that Joe Biden was going to be here. They wanted to make sure they had
Right.
good safety
Well, it's
stock.
right. They're honoring Flatulence Day, obviously.
Do you hear it? But Biden's going to go on a state visit to India.
What? Why?
I'm teasing you.
Oh.
I don't
Well,
I
that way no one will notice
Oh, no,
if
no.
he craps his pants.
I mean, I like Indian food and I like spicy food. But I have to say, many times I went to India, you always are going to get sick because you're going from food that is prepared in a certain way with certain cooking oils here, certain water, certain treatment of vegetables here that's different than over
Right.
there. And that's before you get into the germ problem and the spice problem and just your body getting beaten to shit for the many hours of travel. In an airplane, typically pre-COVID, where there were people very sick.
I don't think I'm going there ever.
Well, I think that would be your enemy saying, you know, how do we get rid of Jason?
I like Indian people, and I've had through my life many Indian friends. I just don't want to. And actually, they're the ones who have told me you don't want to go there.
No, you don't. I mean, it's one of these things you just have to accept when you get there that the schedule is aspirational.
Yeah, I'm not going.
You know, it's just like you can put this down, but we'll see. And if you can adjust to that and just go on a different pace, and if you're not, life isn't depending on it. You know, you're not trying to get a client or do something by a certain deadline. It's a spectacle. It's really interesting.
I enjoy actually no longer being in service of one client that controls so much money, because now my clients are the sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth.
There's a nice sky in the distance. I don't know if you
That's
can catch
the
it.
golden hour.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
as the sun is setting. It is a beautiful day. We've been having lovely weather lately, and I did not know that it was going to be daylight savings time until I woke up and the clock on my oven had a different time. Well, actually, that's the first clock that I saw. And I was
Why were
like,
you
wow,
sleep-
I'm waking up late.
Why were you sleeping next to the oven?
No, I mean, I came out of the bedroom and went into the kitchen to have breakfast and saw the oven and saw the time and then
Freaked
looked at my
out.
phone and said, now wait a minute. I feel like something has happened. It's a good thing the phone is smart enough to know what time it is.
Indeed.
Well, we're getting pretty close to our close here, Charles.
Sure. We've got a very important guest on Wednesday.
Oh, right.
And we have some other extremely interesting people who we're trying to get the logistics pinned down upon.
Yeah, but as our guest Wednesday, are we going to do that as an open broadcast, or will that be a First Amendment forum?
We can give that guest the choice. Say we can.
Okay, that's a good idea. So here's a good question for you, Charles.
What?
What do you think about this at one time controversial item of art? Marilyn Monroe.
Why is it controversial? It's Andrew Warhol.
Well,
right?
because I think when Andy Warhol was around, people thought he was, a weirdo and painting soup and challenging conventional thinking of what is art, right? Wasn't that his whole deal?
My father does not actually look like Andy Warhol, but many times he has been stopped and, oh, we love your work and this.
But Andy Warhol's been dead for like
I
20
know.
years.
That doesn't.
Still love it.
No,
And your father's there like, nuclear physics fans.
Exactly right. There we go.
Well, Charles, I don't think I've ever told you this. I had the, I don't know if pleasure is the right word, but I had the opportunity to meet one of Andy Warhol's kind of like,
Models.
no, I don't know what you'd call this guy, one of his like constituents, disciples, whatever.
Uh-huh.
There was this filmmaker named Paul Morrissey who had directed a film called Flesh for Frankenstein, which was a really bizarre 70s horror movie shot in 3D.
Wow.
And when I found out about this, I'd never seen it, and I wanted to get involved in restoring the film and releasing it digitally in 3D. So I spent a lot of time, and the guy lived in New York. I spent a lot of time trying to reach him and contact him. He eventually came to meet with me at 21st Century 3D, and I showed him the work that we were doing. And he's pretty old at the time. I mean, this had to be 15 years ago or something that I met with this guy. And he was kind of old at that time, and he had something clearly wrong with one of his eyes, like it was sort of squinted down.
wandering.
And he's watching the 3D movie, and he's like, well, I don't know. It doesn't look 3D to me. He's like, my right eye doesn't work, but it doesn't look 3D to me. And I didn't really get into the explanation of how binocular stereoscopic vision works. But this guy was just off the wall, Charles. Totally bizarre dude.
A friend of Andy Warhol's off the wall. That's a real...
COVID tent, you want to get something shoved in your nose?
Yeah, if I could... I like that one because it's right next to a steaming pile of dog shit.
Right,
Not-
well
not-
that's to make sure that the test stays sterile.
Right, exactly.
So now we've got the sun setting.
Data integrity is key. Integrity is key.
Oh, Lane Bryant is out of business.
Wasn't it?
What was that?
That's a school,
gym?
large, plus-sized...
Oh, right.
Well,
I would imagine that'd be doing a booming business. A lot of vacancy in the Empire State Building there.
That's not an iconic building.
I know. And that big giant restaurant space that was the Heartland Brewery, which I used to love until they delivered me a glass of water with a snotty fingerprint and a black hair stuck to it.
That's good. Did you pay extra for that?
No, I actually mentioned something to the bartender and he was like,
Pissed at you?
yeah, he was like ignoring me. And when I said, hey, he said, don't yell at me. And you can imagine what I did next. I screamed at the guy for
And
having the snot-ridden
How'd that
drink.
go? Did he kick
I just
you
was
out?
so angry. I went upstairs and I spoke to the manager. She's like, well, we can comp your dinner. And I said, you know what? That's nice of you to offer, but I'm not eating another thing in this place. It's disgusting. And I left. And I never went back to Heartland Brewery, and now they're
Bankrupt,
at least
probably.
2 of their locations closed. I don't know if there are any of those left, but
I
I just don't eat there anymore.
I think a lot of restaurants are completely out.
Well, that happened before the pandemic, you know. It's only so many snot thumbprints you can deliver before people
Yeah,
lose
well-
their taste for that.
That's right. You want your water carbonated or still or
Avec snot
or snot bitten.
Or sands.
This goes really well with lutefisk. which is this
You know, in
fish.
Europe, they always ask you, sans goose? Well, how do you say
Gas.
snot in French?
Macron.
Right. Avec Macron. All this stuff is out.
Yeah.
And before Christmas, you would think at least some store would negotiate some kind of pop-up thing
Right.
for a month. That just occurred to me. That's
And Zara, for example, is a big Spanish chain. So they will of course stay open and may expand. But I mean, when I was a kid in Manhattan, this area was the center for Christmas shopping. The
Right. Macy's.
Thanksgiving Day Parade, and you got Macy's here.
And now?
And you look in the stores, you don't really see many people.
Nope.
And one thing that really does irritate me, perhaps I'm too much of a curmudgeon, and I'll freely admit it, when you go into a store after store now, you get to the pay point, as they say in England, and somebody say, would you like to give $2 for this or $5 for that? Is this a charity store? You know, no.
Well, sometimes they join up with charities. Whole Foods does that a lot. They have
right, but you never
micro loans or something.
Yeah, that's a fraud.
Is it?
Yeah,
Why?
absolutely. Grameen Bank. That is
For farmers.
It's a complete fraud. The guy won the Nobel Prize for it.
For fraud?
Well, yeah. I mean, a close friend of Hillary Clinton's. I mean, that's a guy who is so bad.
Oh, he's the oven guy, right?
No. Grameen Bank is what they do. It sounds great. You know, give $6 so that this woman can buy a yak. What they don't tell you is that, whatever, buy something in some country.
It's a good price for a yak. I'll take two.
That's right. And you're like, you could virtue signal, you know, a picture of your yak, and you can say, look, for $6, I got this lady a yak. Now she's selling yak
milk.
What's a yak quiche or something? I don't know what you do with yaks.
Oxtail soup.
That's right, yak tail soup. But this guy, you know, if you fail to repay the loans are at usurious interest rates in these countries, and if you fail to repay the loan, they beat the living crap out of these women.
What?
Yeah, and in addition, they're stealing tons of money. The Grameen enterprise is so crooked that the government of, I think it was Bangladesh, which is not exactly known for its high moral standings and lack of corruption.
Or organization.
They removed this guy because it was so after he won the Nobel Peace Prize, of course. And
is that a 501c3 Nobel Peace Prize?
No, it's obviously
some European charity, right? Which they have all kinds
European. Those of us in the know, European.
But they have different rules there, so they can probably cheat. The thing is, they get you, and it's like, you know, round up the change, and you figure, it's 70 cents.
But see, that's why I'm saying that's your classic Terry McAuliffe style Clinton fraud.
Because nobody really cares about 70 cents, but he's making millions of bucks.
Like I remember, like a fool when Princess Diana died. I never actually shook her hand, but I stood next to her once for a little while, and
wow,
was pleasant enough. She had been married to Charles for a while, and I didn't dare tell her my name. He was like, not another Charles. Anyway, so when she died, as I was leaving British Airways, there was this big bottle filled with pounds.
Was it the Concorde you were on?
No, not then. No. I was flying, but I was flying first class. But there was a big, just a spontaneously put up thing to gather money for a fund for Princess Diana, and I'm quite sure that none of that money made it to the fund.
Well, why does she need money? Doesn't she?
No, a memorial for flowers, for service to remember her, whatever. Like an idiot, I put 20 pounds in there, and then I thought to myself, can't take it back out. Can't be like Larry David and start making change in it.
I think there's a new season of
I love that show.
Enthusiasm coming.
Are you kidding me? It started last November 2020.
Right.
Joe Biden. And it's been very effective.
Curb your presidency.
It's been very effective in curbing my enthusiasm.
Now, I think we checked in front of the train station, and it didn't.
Let's go.
Didn't kill it last time.
All right.
So definitely.
You take me to the nicest parts of town, Jason.
Well, I mean, we're going to the most decrepit from a radio frequency standpoint.
Right.
Yeah, but we can already see some strategies, survival strategies emerging as it's getting colder. These guys are camping out above the heat vent there.
It's not going to be, before long, it's not going to be, may I have $1 or $5 for whatever. It's going to be, give me your fucking wallet.
People are going to become more desperate as it becomes less feasible to kind of just exist on the street.
Right. And this city can get really cold, especially around here, where you get the wind whistling down these side streets.
can easily be in the teens,
and
certainly in the 20s for extended periods of time.
before the wind. And then for
Yeah.
every mile per hour of wind, it's roughly 1 degree. So and then you can have, of course, de Blasio will leave behind, if we have any snow, a mountain of unplowed snow and ice.
What's he doing about that?
Well, remember he made a decision that
Not
the
to
rich,
clean it up?
well, no, the rich parts of the city were getting attended to first, and that was
Right.
unfair. And so let's pay attention to the remote parts of the city and leave.
Where there's no commerce and nobody paying tax?
But I have a certain amount of sympathy for looking at New York City and saying, now wait a minute. I don't know if you've actually looked at a map recently, but Manhattan you can get around. It's easy. I mean, you can live
Yeah.
almost anywhere in Manhattan. And
Coming from the outer boroughs is harder.
there are portions of Brooklyn in particular that are really tough to get around. I mean, the subway lines don't go out there, the bus lines are not, it's dangerous at night. There are what they say food deserts,
Right.
there aren't. And you would have thought if we're going to have these truly progressive people, you'd say, all right, New York, Manhattan can take care of itself. The private sector it's a prime portion of the city. Let's see how we can make Brooklyn more livable. Let's see the things
Well,
that
then
we
they'll
can.
bring commerce to it
Well, I'm just. What can we do?
if
to
they
change?
do that. I mean,
What structural things could we do to make Brooklyn or Queens, or maybe you give up on Staten Island, but I'm kidding. In the Bronx, what things could government do? I think every item was 100% off in the end.
Right.
This is really a great interior decorating job here.
this is that hotel. Yeah, Hotel
I think
Pennsylvania.
the correct sentence is this was that hotel.
Yeah, it's not that great. So the plan to revive Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, you could, just as before I was born, Eisenhower's decision to embrace the interstate highway system really changed this country tremendously. And one could question whether it's done enough or too much or whatever.
Maybe
But
more cars, maybe it's done damage.
Well, it used to be that you would go from city to city or village to village and you go around a roundabout, and it took forever to get anywhere. And these interstates made it possible to go between major population centers much more rapidly. Anyway, it did on balance increase economic activity. Now you can debate whether increased economic activity is good for the planet.
Right.
We should talk a little bit about James Carville, and I rarely agree with that.
How do you
wizard.
feel about getting tested for COVID when you can actually smell feces right next to the tent?
Well, that's a benefit. It's a green world. It's a brown New Deal. It's just
The Brown New Deal.
instead of wearing those pink hats, you're going to walk around with a brown hat that stinks because
Yeah.
it's going to be made of. Get that and a nice liter of Bill Gates' Poopsicola.
That bunny could advertise it.
They could. But anyway, Carville has turned on the wokesters, which is interesting because he's got it. I don't like him, but he's very effective at figuring out how to manipulate public opinion and how to change public opinion. And for him to dump all over wokesterism, which he did after the recent election and has been doing stridently, is a good sign, actually. So I hear these things, it's like, I think I've talked about this in the past, but we've done so many podcasts that people probably watching now may or may not have heard this before. When I went to my Harvard tour on the train from New York,
Sorry to interrupt, Charles, but this is an interesting little notable item. Not a joke. They're still selling legit Make America Great shirts.
I wonder where they're made.
China, but I'm just surprised that a store in New York is having that.
Yeah, and able to still keep it up there. So I get on this train, the old-fashioned train, New York up to Boston, and it stops various places. And I'm sitting next to this attractive girl about my age. I've been 17 years old or something, so I start talking to her. And we have a very pleasant chat from New Haven all the way. She said, well, my stop here is I'm getting off here at Providence. So are you going to interview for Brown? And she opens up her jacket there's a picture of Guru Maharaj Ji with like the psychedelic thing.
Oh.
Going around. The guy's-
Sounds like your girl, Charles.
yeah, no, I'm going over to the Providence Arena, and the guru is going to be there, and a spaceship's coming from outer space, and we're going to go to
wanna
our
come
new
with me?
planet. Like,
Oh my God.
glad I wasted this time on the train talking to you.
Wow.
God, I know how to pick them. Amazing.
Well, Charles, we're close to the end of the line here, so it's a good moment to thank the viewer sponsors who make Crowdsource the Truth possible, and to encourage people who aren't there yet to get onto subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. This movie is flopping epically, so rather than wasting your money going to watch the woke superhero, whatever that is,
Parade.
people
Festival.
can binge watch Crowdsource the Truth. And, Charles, I've just released version 1.1 of the Crowdsource the Truth video server. We've squashed one of the biggest bugs.
Really?
So viewers who are watching live streams on iPhones will no longer have the problem they were having previously. So encouraging more people to get onto subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and participate in the ongoing beta test. It's not quite fully there yet, but it's getting better. And there's no YouTube overlords who could shut us down there. So it's a great resource for doing things like the First Amendment Forum and all of the sponsor exclusive shows. So I hope people will join me on there and have a great Sunday night. Charles, thanks for this long walk, and thanks everybody for watching.